Instagram. What is up, guys? Welcome to another FBA happy hour. Let us know where you're from, what you're up to. If you have any questions, posting this on Instagram right now.
ASINs, your best ASINs, the top
Best
3.
ASINs.
Where you bought it
Anything
from?
else that you want to know? How have you been?
Oh, just living the dream. What about you?
But this is part one of we're moving. So
Oh, that's
we're moving
right.
into a brand new townhouse. So yeah, we're kind of doing like the fragile stuff that like we want to take over today. We just got the keys earlier this morning. So we're doing that stuff, and then the movers come tomorrow for all the other stuff.
Is it in the same like area that your current place is in, or is it?
Yeah, it's actually right. It's maybe like 10 minutes away. So we really like the area we live in. So it's just kind of perfect.
That's fun.
Yeah, so it's actually been like pretty smooth. I mean, knock on wood, that like nothing goes like kind of wrong, but so far so good. I mean, I've definitely had like the last time we moved into where we are now, like the movers were terrible. Like we got them on like Craigslist and it was just a disaster. They came like 3 or 4 hours late. And they just had like the one guy had like definitely like an attitude problem.
Craigslist. I
Yeah.
forgot Craigslist even existed until you just said that. It used to be the place though before like the Craigslist killers and stuff, but
Oh yeah.
you find all kinds of stuff like just random things.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Have you ever heard of MacBid? You live in Pennsylvania, so I'm hoping you know what that is.
MacBid? No, what is it?
Yeah. Well, it may not be close enough for you to know what it is, but if anybody's from the Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia area, there's this place called MacBid. And it's basically like eBay on steroids. And
Really?
basically the best way I can describe it is they have Amazon returns. They've got like overstock from like major retailers, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, everywhere. And what they do is the process of this has to be like something crazy because I can only imagine how this all works behind the scenes. After going to it, I went to this warehouse and picked up some. And so they just take pictures of every item and then they put it up for auction every day through the week is usually an auction. And so I used it to buy a vanity, a $600 vanity, and I got it for $69.17.
Wow.
Brand new. Like all this stuff that you can bid on is either like I said, returns, like they're basically like news if somebody took it out of the box and didn't like it, or they sent it back and they couldn't, sell it again. And then there's some stuff that's obviously damaged as well, like scratch and dent appliances. They have a ton of these. They've got like thousands of like stoves, refrigerators, washers and dryers, stuff like that. Wow. And they put them up on auction and then you bid. And it's like addicting. It's like eBay on steroids. And then once
I'll have to look into this because
they have like a ton in the Pittsburgh area, and then they've got one close to me, and then they've got some in Ohio, like one in Ohio, and then they have some in South Carolina. So if you live in South Carolina too, I'm pretty sure there's like 2 or 3 locations. But
yo, what's up? What is up, Milton? Cool. You guys have questions? Drop them in the chat. Yeah. How's your Prime Day?
It's good. I sold a lot of FBM.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I did was FBM.
Yeah, I had a really good Prime Day too. I actually, I sold like a lot of good stuff, but I also just liquidated a lot of bad stuff that I tested and like it just didn't pan out. It was just crazy. Like I sold most of it for break even. Which is good. And other ones, it's like I was like going through inventory labs, like some things I made like 3 cents on, 50 cents on. But just want to like clear it because like it's the best time to do it. It's like when there's
that's my Prime. Makayla doesn't sell on Amazon anymore, but here you go.
That's a fake picture.
This is a fake picture. This is not from my house. This
That's true with Google Images. Makayla is like a Photoshop genius.
Yeah, I sent out like close to 175 packages yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it was nuts. The mail lady was here for like a solid like 30, 45 minutes putting them in a vehicle. I don't know how she fit it all in one trip, but she did. She stuffed it full.
Yeah, when I got liquidated like basically all my eBay inventory, yeah, I sent out I think almost like 200 packages that day, and basically like filled up the entire mail truck. And I was like, "There's no way she's gonna be able to get it in," but she did it.
They somehow do.
It's crazy. Makayla, how's your private label going?
I think I honestly sold out of my private. I'm like, this is horrible to say. I haven't checked it recently, but I think I was at like 10 units like a week ago. So it's definitely sold out by now. But yeah, I mean, I sold through 1,008 units. So I mean, whatever you consider that as successful or not, in your opinion. But in my opinion, it wasn't a very big success. I know I sold out of my items. Like I'm happy that I sold out of them, but I just didn't make the money that I thought I was going to be making off of it. So, and I think the product just really wasn't what I imagined it to be. So
I remember you showing it to me.
It was such a cute package. And
it was, yeah, the packaging was really nice. And I was like, wow,
like the
okay.
packaging was fantastic.
Do you think you'll do another one?
Yeah, I was hoping to launch one before the end of the year, but now I've just got so much stuff going on, like other things. Like I'm trying to start another business, start another couple businesses outside of the world of selling on Amazon or all of that jazz. It's technically still selling stuff, but not in that caliber. But so yeah, I'm just kind of like busy, and then I'm trying to sell houses.
Sell or buy?
Sell my houses when I get done working on them.
Oh, so are you trying to flip these ones?
Yeah, so that's a sore subject as well. The first house I got under contract, I was going to flip it because it had good margin in my opinion, and for my area, like it was pretty good, and like I felt pretty confident that I was going to be able to, get the money out of it that I wanted to, because in my area right now, like these renovated, like really good, ones sell within like 2 or 3 days. Like people go after them like crazy. Everybody loves flipped houses around here. So like I knew with 100% certainty that I could sell this like very fast and for the dollar that I wanted. Well, my lender, which I double hate, I originally got the terms from them. As soon as I close on a house, as soon as I go under contract on a house, I immediately message them to get the terms, or sometimes I even do it before I put the offer in, just to make sure that the numbers work out. Just kind of depends on the lender. But for this one, I actually put a bid, like an offer on it, and then I went ahead and got the terms for it. And she told me it was going to be like 13% because I'm doing hard money. It's not a traditional loan. So they basically pay for 80% of the purchase price, and they can actually do up to 100% depending on how much experience you have, since I've not technically flipped enough houses, in their opinion, that I had to do 80%. So I put 20% down for the purchase price, and then they fund 100% of the renovation costs. So that's why I really like hard money, because I only have to put 20% down of the purchase price, and then they cover the rest for me. So she quoted me at like 13% or whatever. And I was like, cool. Like that's kind of high, but like, for my first one with these people, I thought that was pretty good. So we went along with it. And then I got the house, it was under contract, sent in all my documents. And she's like, hey, sorry, but we can't give you that rate anymore and those terms. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, we checked your credit and we do not see a personal history of having a mortgage. And I was like, that's funny, because I do have a mortgage. I have a house. And then I realized, it's underneath my LLC. It's not under my personal name, because I do it for asset protection, obviously. So I told her, I was like, yo, I still have one. Like I pay it every month. Like I still have a mortgage. It's just not underneath my name. So then I disputed it, and I had to provide documentation that I basically could pay for the house and everything. I had all of the assets verified, and like I sent all of it in, and they denied it. So then she jacked up my interest rate to 15%. And then I was going to owe like 15. I was going to owe 15 grand in fees with this lender. It's absolutely absurd. So then it literally like crushed my entire like plan of doing a flip on it, because I wasn't going to be making really any money. I was going to be making maybe like 15K. And I just felt like at that point I should just keep the house and then refinance out of it. And then I can make 15 back in just a few years. So it doesn't really, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a short-term, long-term outlook. But
especially if you only charge like $1,000 for rent in 2 years,
yeah,
you would have 24K instead of the 15.
It just doesn't make any sense. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to burr it. I'm going to do that and then rent it out for probably around $1,100. And so with the loan amount, I might have been making like $300 or so a month like profit off of it. So I was like, you know what, I think that's fine. But then now with this new lender, they came back and they're like, it's 11%, like 11.3%. And like the fees were cut in half. So now flipping it is back in the cards again. So like I was talking to my dad about that today. He's like, are you still planning on renting it out? And I'm like, actually, we may flip it. You know what I mean? If I can make the numbers work better for this one, then we might just flip it. I don't know. We'll see. It's just,
I guess you could list it and just see how it goes. And then
I mean, if I don't sell it for the price if I don't like the price, then I'm just going to keep it. You know what I mean? I'd rather keep a house that I know is worth more than what they're trying to give me. Like, I just don't want to sell a house. Just, okay, yeah, like that's fine. I'll take like a $15,000, you know what I mean? Like cut because I can't sell it. No, I'll just keep it at that rate. I won't even, no.
That makes sense. Hello, John and Makayla. How many VAs consist your team? And can you give advice when is the best time to build a team of VAs in terms of monthly revenue / profit? For me, I have 2 virtual assistants. So I have one who sources for me. And then I have one for content, like editing YouTube videos, making clips, and kind of all that kind of stuff. The time I think I got my first one, so it was a little different for me. So I got one way too early. I had a book business, and I was just like, oh, like I'm just gonna hire someone to source so I could do both. And I didn't really know how to source that well, and I did like it was funny. Like I still have his lead sheet, and I'll go through it sometimes, and stuff I said no to. Like I'll look back at the history. I'm like, oh man, I should have bought this. Like this was good. And then things I said were good were like absolutely terrible. So I would say the best time we had Fast Track FBA on. I don't know when. If you look at Fast Track FBA, like search the live channel, I think he said when you have like you could afford to pay them for like 3 months and then have $5,000 to spend on their inventory. It was something like that. Because I think you have to know how to train them. Like that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, I guess you could send them like other people's YouTube videos or Keepa videos and stuff like that. I mean, that's a good way. But you just want to make sure that 1, you could train them. 2, you actually have capital to buy their leads. And 3, like you want to be able to at least work with them for like 90 days if they're obviously doing a good job, because it's going to take some time. It's just not like one of those like you get it and then you start getting all these leads and they solve your business problem. I feel like a lot of people like do that. I was talking to someone the other day and they were just like, yeah, I really hate sourcing. Like I'm not good at it. So I'm going to hire some VAs. I'm like, nah, like you got to flip that around, because like, I think that's the other thing too. Obviously on YouTube, like you try to give the best advice you can, but like a lot of it, in my opinion, is just like very generic. So like I would like to think I have a certain edge in different categories or kind of how I source or kind of how I go about what I do. So I want the virtual assistant to mimic that. Like I just don't want them doing these like generic reverse sourcing techniques or whatever. Like I want them to do what I do. So if you don't have like a certain like competitive advantage, it gets a little harder. I don't know. What do you think? Or what's your team look like?
I have 3 VAs that work on my store, but that's such a hard question to answer because it's honestly dependent on a person. And I know that's probably a generic answer as well, but it truly is though, because your situation may be different than somebody else's situation because we all learn on different levels. So like I, did what I did in a short amount of time, but that doesn't mean like it's a one size fits all for everybody else. Like everyone's going to be learning at different paces. So like your 3-month mark, maybe somebody's 8-month mark. And maybe your 10K month is like somebody else's 50K month. You know what I mean? Like the knowledge you have, it kind of depends on your knowledge and how much money you're making, because somebody could be saying that they're doing 50K in revenue and they'd be only making not 5,000, like $500. And like you may be doing 50,000 months and you may make $3,000. Like, you know what I mean? It just depends. True. There's not like a one size fits all approach for me. I think it ultimately boils down to you personally. Like, do you feel confident that you can teach somebody how to do it? Like, it's just like the analogy I use. It's just like teaching somebody how to ride a bike. If you don't know how to ride a bike, then it's going to go really, really bad. Lots of wrecks. There's going to be lots of wrecks, and you're just going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money doing it, and it's not going to be worth it. Like, you want to make sure at the end of the day, you are knowledgeable on it and you can teach somebody else how to do it. I basically think that you should be able to teach a kid how to sell on Amazon. Like if you can teach a kid how to do it, then you're good to go. Like if you feel confident in that, you're good. And then also the money aspect, like you shouldn't be spending, whatever, say $400 or $500 a month on a VA if you're only making $1,000. Mm-hmm. Does it make any sense? It's just financial, obviously, just literacy. Financial literacy here. Like don't spend a bunch of money on a VA if you're only making like this much. Like make sure it weighs out, and you want to make sure your VA, whatever amount you're paying them, that you're getting back out. But like it may not be that the case right up front. Like don't expect your VA to come in and be like, okay, here, and like you make your 500 back. It's not always the case. Like you have to train these people. So like it may be a month or two before you really get it going. Can you still support them and your store, at that point in time, or are you going to be in the hole? Like I said, that video with him was fantastic. It'll answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I feel like almost like a good rule of thumb too is like when you feel like people used to say that, it's like when you are like you have more money, but you don't have enough time to find more stuff. That's usually kind of like, because like you could buy more stuff if you could find more stuff. But yeah, I do think it's like kind of like a very individual decision, like what you want to do. But I think like the general gist is like it's actually not going to make your life easier like the first 6 months. It's actually going to be really hard and really difficult, like no matter how good, like there's just stuff that like happens, and you gotta work through it, but it could be worth it eventually.
Yeah, like I said, totally dependent on you. So
Makayla, tell us about the new house. Is it going to be a BRRR again?
So the first one, like I told you, I got 2 under contract technically. The first one, possibly a BRRRR, possibly a flip, not really sure yet. That's to be determined. I still got to get closed on it, so like I got some time to think about it. The second one is definitely a flip. I'm not burring that one. It's just too nice.
What does that even mean, burr?
Buy, rehab,
okay.
buy, renovate, refinance, rent.
Got it. Okay, cool.
I got it all messed up, but it basically, you asked me.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mac Attack. Maybe you should put that as your like little thing. Are you thinking of just doing single family flips, or will you be expanding to multifamily / apartment complexes?
So my plan originally was to do buy and holds. With everything in life, things change. So I was dead set against doing flips because I personally thought that they were just, you know what I mean? They weren't like the true path to wealth. But things change, and I saw the light, I guess, and saw that there's opportunity there. And what I want to do is do a couple flips, and then say like I have 10 houses every 2 years or whatever. I want to be able to do like 8 buy and holds and then like 2 flips or whatever I decide. But like somewhere
figure out that ratio to like get cash flow, but also
yes. So what I want to do right now is do the flips and then take all the money that I made from the flips, build a little nest egg, and from the nest egg, divvy it up into other houses that I can actually keep, and then keep doing that, and then dividing it up and putting into more flips, and then putting into buy and holds, and kind of have like a little cycle thing. What I want to do is to be able to rely on the income from my rentals instead of like my other businesses. Like I want to have like a pretty steady source of income from my rental properties. So once I get there, then I feel like I'll be like much better. Like I'll feel much better about it. But for now, like I said, I kind of want to build that egg and then divvy it up, and then hopefully be financially free after I get done with my burrs. And so then I'll have a portfolio. But for the flips for now, I want to get into like apartment complexes and like commercial buildings and stuff down the road. But you got to start small, build the nest egg, and then I would like to have a cool little apartment building with my name on it, but it's down the road.
What's up, Corey? Makayla, how much leverage do you think it's reasonable to use in preparation of Q4?
Depends on your risk tolerance.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, you don't want to like over leverage too much, and then you don't pay off your loans or your bills, your credit card bills at the end. Like being honest, I took a pretty large loan for December. Well, it was in November for December. So the only way I recommend that is if you actually have a plan in place and you have products you're planning on buying with that money. Don't just take a loan just to take a loan. Like you're paying interest on that loan, and depending on how the loan works, you may be in the hole very quickly. So you have to make sure that you're responsible with that. But I don't know. I don't regret taking the loan. I think I learned a lot during that period, and I actually did a lot of FBM. So that kind of balanced it out some. I wasn't waiting like 6-8 weeks to finally see my money again. It was like very, very fast, because during Christmas last year, I did like, I'd say 80 or 90% FBM because they cut my storage. I had like 20,000 storage, and then I got all the way down to 5,000. And I just purchased $50,000 worth of wholesale inventory and sent it in. So it took up most of my storage. I had like none left. So then I sent everything to my house, and then I was just doing FBM out of my house. And then I had that loan, and I just bought, I had a good opportunity. It was Stanley Cups. I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't sell Stanley Cups, but it was Stanley Cups, and I made a fortune. Like I made a killing off of those last year.
I mean, that's insane. Were you putting them in bubble mailers? You get boxes?
No, I put them in boxes. I was afraid of putting them in bubble mailers because I wish I had a picture of that cup that I got back, but I put it in a box, and I'm pretty sure the mail carrier ran it over or something. Somebody ran it over at some point in time because the box was so smashed, and the actual cup was like disformed. Like it like was like I've never seen anything like it in my life, but it was like folded up on each other.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think I might do some merch fulfilling this Q4. I'm usually against it, but now that we'll have a lot more space in the new place, I think I might do some. But I think too, like, yeah, it does come down to risk tolerance. And also I mean, personally, I probably would not take a loan and then like speculate on a bunch of bolo toys and stuff like that. Like you want like some solid plays or some idea what you're gonna do with that. And like Makayla said, have a plan for that. But yeah, if you're gonna like take a $20,000 loan and like go buy like these Legos Amazon might run out of stock on. I don't think that's a good play.
Yeah, definitely have a plan. Like, make sure you have like concrete. Like, I had the loan like on the back burner. So like it was there. And if I wanted to take it, I could. If I didn't, you know what I mean? So I full sent it with the amount that I had. And then once I hit that wall, that's when I was like, okay, I know I can buy these and that I could keep making money off these. All I just got to do is take the loan. And it was like maybe 9% interest. So it wasn't horrible.
Not bad.
But like I said, I made the money back within that month. And then I'm still technically paying on it because it was like a 12-month. So
yeah, I was at a conference and someone said they took an Amazon loan for Q4. I think it was like in December. I forgot how theirs was even set up, but they were saying that it really sucked because they tied up a lot of capital and it was like a bigger loan. Like this person does like a couple of million in sales a year. And so then when February came around, they had this huge payment and like all the money was tied up in inventory. And then it gets like a little slower, like February, March, and they're just like, yeah, like I didn't really think that part through, but I was like, that's kind of interesting.
yeah, I got another statement about that. When you're taking loans, again, ties into like having a plan and stuff. Like, make sure whatever you're buying that you can get in a reasonable amount of time. So like if you're going to do wholesale, this applies for pretty much wholesale, but it can apply to many other cases. But when you're doing that, make sure you're getting it in a reasonable time frame. So I had another loan out I bought about $40,000 worth of a brand. It's just a bunch of stuff, not just one thing, but it's been about 40 grand. And it was back ordered for 8 weeks.
Oof.
I ended up losing money from that loan because at the end, I didn't even get it because it kept getting back ordered and back ordered and back ordered and back ordered and back ordered. So then I was just like, you know what, I'm done. So that's the bad side about the loans. I did lose some money on that one because I just waited so long. But by the end of it, it was over 4 months before I got my money back.
Yeah. Jesus.
So yeah, just be careful about that. Just make sure you know what I knew it was going to take a little bit for me to get them, but the ROI on it was like really good. So I was like, you know what? It's worth waiting. It was supposed to be really like 4 to 5 weeks and ended up being over 8 weeks. And then, yeah. It's not fun, but
what profit percentage are you about with at the end of the month, say 50K revenue? It really depends. I feel like if you're doing all the prep yourself, it really depends on what you're buying in general. I don't know. I would say like I typically say between 10 and 20%. It depends on how much software you're using, like if you're prepping the stuff, if a prep center, right, to do 50K, what'd you say you're selling like 1,000? Well, it depends on what you're selling, but let's just say 1,000-ish units, 1,500 units. So if you have to pay for prep for that, I mean, that eats into a big chunk of that margin. I don't know. What would you say?
I'm happy with honestly between 10 and 15%. 15% being on the higher end for me personally, just at the volume that I'm doing. At 50K a month, you should be around 15%. I mean, it's a lot easier to hit home runs whenever you're only doing 50K a month. But when you start scaling and you're at 300K months or 200K months, it's like you got to take some of the lower hanging fruit, and that's whenever your margin starts to go down. But it's either A, you sacrifice the margin to sell more and open up more opportunity, or you stick with what you can and just kind of stay stagnant. But I mean, it totally depends on kind of how you want to run your business. I know people who are happy with doing 100K months and they're happy with the amount that they're making off of it. So
yeah, I think it's whatever works for you. And I also think it's like, how hard are you working? Like if you're gonna do 10% and you're working like 60 or 80 hours like on 50K. I don't know if that's really worth. I mean, it's up to you. It's whatever you want to do. But you know, if you're doing that same amount and maybe you're making 10%, that same 10%, but a prep center is doing like a majority of the work, then yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It just kind of depends on what you want, how many hours you put in, how much money you're putting up. I don't know. It's just it's not a, it's a super like individualized. Like that's the thing. That's the quote of the day, individualized. It's individualized. Just depends on what you kind of want.
What sort of items are you buying for back to school? And is it too late to send FBA if using a prep center, assuming 5 to 6 week lead time? For me, I don't need this year. I think I'm just gonna play a normal game. I don't know. Just like bank off the more people shopping on Amazon. I don't think I'm gonna go like the backpacker route. Debating a little bit, like potentially getting back into apparel, just for back to school. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I mean, it's one of those things too. Like I forgot who said it, but it was actually Jameson. I was talking to Jameson, and he was saying that last year, instead of like doing like chasing the bolos and like betting on Amazon going out of stock, he's like, I just did my thing. Like I did what I normally did, and I just like made a lot more money, just more people shopping on Amazon. Like, and he's like, it was the best ever because I wasn't just like gambling. It was like, hey, like I would buy this normally. It's going to sell faster because there's more people on the platform, more people are looking for this stuff. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm going to play it. And the more and more like this kind of stuff happens, I tend to like want to lean that way because if you're kind of selling stuff that, you know, people are going to buy anyway, and then if they're just more people shopping on Amazon, I think that's like a good recipe. In terms of lead time, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of getting like a little close. Where would that put us at? Like August 15th? I don't know. 5 to 6 weeks. Yeah, would you say it's a little? Yeah, I feel like that'd be. I mean, I wouldn't go heavy on anything. Maybe.
Yeah, we're right now. Like right now is the prime period of time. The next probably like 5 or 6 weeks now. Well, probably a little more than that. But like, yeah, we'll just say like 6 weeks. Is the real like prime period. So if it's gonna take you 6 weeks to get your items in there, ain't gonna be great. I mean, you're still probably gonna make money off of it, but I don't know. I'm risk averse in a lot of things. So if I feel like I'm taking a chance, if I have to question it, then I usually don't do it. I'm just like, I'll just do FBM. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm only doing FBM. So.
Are you guys selling brand name backpacks this year? Back to school. I'm scared of compliance. I am not.
I'm just a single backpack, and people who know my store, they know because I'm not.
Yeah, I was talking to Drew about this the other day, and we're just like, nah. For me, they're just, I don't know. It's not the easiest thing in the world to ship. So I don't want to get stuck with them. I don't want to get stuck with anything, but especially backpacks. I feel like it is kind of, yeah, people buy backpacks year round, but it is very seasonal.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying, and with removal fees high, like I'm not trying to have to recall hundreds of things because it's going to cost you, I don't know, in a backpack, maybe like what, $3 or $4, maybe even more because they're longer.
Yeah.
And they're going to polybag them all, most likely. It's just going to be a disaster for you. So, I mean, again, risk tolerance, how maybe merchants fulfill them. I don't know.
I would recommend. That's what I told my students. So my students asked me because last year I sold 1,500 backpacks. I made quite the pretty penny on them last year. But yeah, this year I didn't even mess with them just because of the compliance stuff, and I didn't want to buy heavy. And then because at one point in time I had like 500 bags at my house last year, not this year, last year. I don't know. It's a risky thing. Like, does that bother you? You may get hit with that. Like, I don't know. And I don't like to have a bunch of crap in my house just because, like, I shouldn't have bought these backpacks. Like, I knew this was gonna come up, and now I've got like 500 backpacks that I got to figure out what to do with, because on eBay they're just not going to sell that fast. Like, you're going to donate them to like some local school, I guess. Like, you'll get a good tax deduction, I guess. But
yeah, every time there has definitely been when I was like repricing on like Prime Day, like when I went to a listing that was not doing good, like I had that inkling. I was like, you probably shouldn't do this. Like, I'm gonna test it. Like, I don't know, like that's kind of how I feel with backpacks. It's like, it'll probably be fine. I don't know. And I'm like, no, like,
if you have to ask yourself or convince yourself that it's going to be fine, that you do not need to be doing that. At any time that I've questioned something or I've said, oh, I'm sure it will be fine, it's never been fine. Like, never been fine. So I would rather miss out on something like that than chance it and then be stuck with thousands of backpacks or whatever, or thousands of dollars worth of backpacks. It's just, I don't know. I think there's
plus I would say there's like a ton of other stuff you could be selling.
Yes.
So like, why risk it when you could, like, if there was nothing else to buy, yeah, maybe it would be worth it. But I don't know. There's so much other stuff to buy that for me, it just doesn't make sense. Merchant fulfilling expands your customer base because not every customer in the world uses Prime. Yeah, that is very true.
I like merchant fulfilling. Everybody hates it. I get crapped on all the time when I talk about it, but
yeah, I don't.
But I had an eBay store. Come on, like, eBay people have so much more work than we do. Like, go do that first and then come back. We're spoiled.
I think so. I think the rub with Merch Fulfilled is, so I used to do books, and books is actually, it's good and bad because a lot of them you could just put in an envelope. So it's not like you need this box or this, like, it's not crazy. What becomes crazy is a lot of volume, and each book weighs a different amount, is a different size. But like, if I had like these or this, like, you, for a great example, the Stanley Cups, like, you could pre-box all of that and just say what you're just printing labels. If you have to, like, you're selling a cup, this microphone, like, and you need different that's where you get like all kind of screwed up. I feel like you're doing like 1,500 backpacks, like, you have the bag you're using, like, how you're shipping them, like, you're just printing labels at that point and sticking it on. Like, that's easy. I think it's really when like you're trying to do different size Lego sets, and like, that's where it kind of gets like really dicey. And stuff that's like fragile, or you just want to kind of keep it simple. But I was actually looking into like a couple of categories, and I was like, dang, like, if I merchant fulfilled this, like, I know the shipping would not be that much at all. I was like, maybe I'll try this and see how it goes. But I gotta like think that through, because I think if I had the right packaging, it would be fine. So I might try it and see. The thing I don't like is like kind of the whole mail situation. It actually depends on like what you're doing, but like, feel like for me, if I had to go like where I am now, I don't really see the mail person. So, and they don't really, so we live in like a complex, so they just have like, they walk around with like a bag or whatever. So that person is not taking, 10 packages. So I have to go like drop that off. I'm just not trying to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. My biggest tip, though, if you're gonna do FBM, is pre-packaged stuff. So like over the weekend, I'll recruit my parents to help me because we send out a lot during like these periods of time that it's like booming, I call it. And it just helps so much having this pre-packaged, because all you have to do is literally slap a label on them and put them outside. It just makes everything just go so much faster. So we've been doing that a lot for back to school. Is I just prep them on the weekends. And then once the weekdays come through, I don't have to like worry about it as much because I'm busier through obviously the week. And I'll just get home, I'll put the stickers on them, and I'll put them outside. And it just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, that was the other part for me anyway with books. It's like everyone has a different book, right? Like it doesn't matter what label you put on because like they're all getting the same thing. So that just makes it like much easier. You don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Makayla, what's your wholesale percentage of distribution / brand direct?
I only have one brand direct account, and I don't even consider it a brand direct account anymore because I haven't ordered from them since almost a year ago now. The pricing wasn't very good, so I dropped them off my list. So pretty much 100% are distributors. So I wouldn't be able to give like a lot of great advice to reaching out to brands, which is the next question. Because
you're unique selling. Oh yeah, okay.
Does want to get to me? What you're doing? Well, according to somebody on Twitter, women have a higher success rate opening wholesale accounts. And so you can figure out what that's supposed to mean. Because I'm not sure what other women are doing. But I don't think I'm doing that because I've reached out to tons of wholesalers and I've gotten rejected many times, even though I'm a girl. I don't know if they're like sending some pictures with their applications or what. But I'm not. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, I don't know.
But on a real note, I don't know. It's all about outreach, honestly. I mean, everybody says that, but it's the honest truth. You just got to keep reaching out. You got to find whatever way works best for you. So if it's wholesale, like distributors, then go that route. If it's brand direct, then go that way. If it's, a mixture of the two, go those routes. Like it's not, one size fits all thing, because I know people who are doing brand direct and I know people who are doing distributor route, and I know people making tons of money doing both ways. So like you got to find whatever path works best for you and then get really good at that one. And then obviously you can keep growing. You just got to reach out. Like I was telling somebody, I forget when this was, a few weeks ago, maybe. I was telling somebody like, hey, you need to be reaching out to like 50 distributors a day. And they're like, oh, I can only reach out to 50 a week. And I was like, well, that's why it's taking you so long. Like there are people that are going to be reaching out to 50 distributors a day. Like when I have my team full going, we can obviously surpass that pretty fast. But if it's just a single person, then obviously it's going to take you a little bit longer to do that. But it's possible. And I think
I always like find that funny. It's like this is all I could do, and it's like why? Like what else are you doing? Like if you really want to grow this business, like you just have to do what it takes. I mean, obviously, if you're working or you have other obligations, that's fine. But like you just can't expect the same results.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my business partner, and we were talking about how I've, managed to go from 0 to 1.3 million in, a year. And we were talking a little bit about why and how I did it. And he's like, it's because she lives in Ohio. He's like, when she wakes up every day, all she sees is like pastures and like barns and cornfields and like and stuff. And like that's the honest truth. Like there's nothing to do around me. I live in a town of 4,500 people. We don't have a mall. We don't have a Walmart. We don't have like Costco and movie theaters and all these fun things, nightclubs and bars and all this. Like we have one bar, but it's not like for young people. It's not at all.
That's funny.
There's nothing to do around me. So whenever I gave up my acceptance to medical school, like this is all I had to do. Like this was it. I was just recovering from surgeries and I was doing this. And so I didn't like all my friends, they are, they graduated now, but most of them were in like pharmacy school, medical school. They're going to school away from here. So I didn't have anything to do. And like my boyfriend, he's like a super homebody too. So like we don't really do a whole lot of things. So we just, you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
I didn't have the opportunities and stuff to go out and, you know, like if you live in Miami, for example, there's always something to do. And like that can be distracting if you let it be. But since I grew up in a totally different environment, you know what I mean? Like what else did I have to do? Like go out and pick corn and like work on my Amazon business. So like
you could have sold corn on Amazon.
So I mean it was like, yeah, I mean that's why, because I had no distractions, because there was nothing to do around here and I don't really have friends. I'm not afraid to admit it, but this is all I did.
No, I feel like, yeah, and I do think that too. Like, I think like more and more people are like starting to say it, but it's like you don't. So for me, I do this full time. So while I don't have a job, I feel like you almost have to treat your business like it's like you have to work.
Yes.
So like whether that's managing employees, like you always have to be doing something, and maybe like down the line, like you don't have to be, but I don't know. I feel like that's like kind of like a big misconception that like because you work for yourself, you don't really work, or it's just like, hey, like let's go grab a beer at like lunch. It's like, no, dude, like this is like work. Like
No,
I could do that, but it's like
I'm
no,
super
like
serious about it. Like I get so mad about my boyfriend because he works a traditional 9-to-5 job. He's a manager and everything. So he's used to that kind of life. And he gets days off through the week sometimes. And I don't. Like I work through the week and then I take the weekends off. And like it just drove me up a wall whenever I felt like he was just acting like I didn't have anything to do. Just because I work from home doesn't mean I don't do anything. Like
yeah.
I do a lot of stuff during the day. So like it just drove me nuts because some people just think like, oh, you work from home, like you probably work like 2 hours a day, or like, oh, you work from home, you probably don't even work or whatever. And I was like, let me know what the work from home job where we don't work at all is, because I would like to sign up for it.
Yeah. I love to just sit at home
It's the
and get
opposite.
paid. Yeah, I think that's like too. It's like it's just like anything else. Like you get what you put into it. So if you're gonna, work part time, like you're gonna make part time money. If you
Yes.
really go after it, like you're gonna really go after it money.
Yeah, you can't put part-time hours in and expect full-time benefits. Like you're
Yeah, and
not.
I think that's kind of yeah. I don't know why. I get why people think it's not because of what's been like on social media and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
just gotta use common sense.
No Lambos.
Merchant fulfilling books is super easy. Plus, after some time, you start to figure out what your average cost per pound when doing media. Yeah, no, it's definitely for me. It's like more. It was more like the picking the books and putting a process in place for that, and kind of keeping organized because printing labels in bulk. Amazon was not the best at printing an order. Maybe it's different now, but just kind of keeping that all on track was definitely kind of challenging when I was doing it anyway. Did Makayla take a wholesale course? If so, would she suggest it?
I self-taught myself. I'm not sure if that's what I'd do over again if I had to, because I learned a lot of stuff through costly mistakes. But I wish I would have honestly done the wholesale thing with Chris and Corey just to see. I don't know why. I kind of forgot about it, and then now I got FOMO. So
yeah, I have a little FOMO as well
I have
from
a
that.
lot of FOMO. So Chris and Corey, can you please release another one so that we can join?
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that. Yeah, and I think that's too. Like I was like thinking about it the other day. I don't know why, but I do think, and not because I coach people or help other people, but I don't know. If I had to do it all over again, I would so do that. Because I would talk to someone and they'd just be like, oh, like when you get a warehouse and you do bulk books, like these are the things you need to be thinking about and like the things you're going to encounter. And then I probably would have never went that route. I would have did online arbitrage and went that route because it was just like, oh yeah, I was like, oh yeah, like I get a warehouse. We're just gonna do truckloads and this, and it's like, well, you got to find some truckloads. Number one, number two, it becomes a lot about hiring people, which I hate doing. I don't really like managing people, so like that's not good. So like it just became all this stuff that like you get so caught up and excited about like how well the business is doing and like growing it, but sometimes you don't sit down. And if I did sit down with like someone like David Chung or someone who runs a big operation, they'd be like, yeah, like this is what's in store for you, or hey, like this is what you should be looking at. Like there were just so many things that I didn't consider. And then it's like, oh, you're in a year lease. Like if you walk away, it's like 50 grand. So here we go. Like kind of thing. So I do think that too. Like I feel like a good analogy is like, you could like build a house. Like you could do that, like watch all the YouTube videos, but you'd probably be done in like 5 years. Or you could like, I don't know, get someone to build it for you or get a mentor and like they'll tell you everything you need, blah blah blah, and then you could have your house much sooner.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it.
People are so quick to be like, oh, mentoring is expensive, it's a scam, blah blah blah. Don't get me wrong, there are some mentors that are very expensive for no reason whatsoever. And there are people who obviously should not be mentoring because they have no idea what they're doing. But if you do truly find a good mentor, they're worth the weight in gold. Like I would pay somebody, a lot of money to, teach me some of the stuff that I had to learn through, painful and expensive, like painful experiences. But I don't know. I just, even if I didn't coach or mentor, I'd still say the same thing. And if I could go back in time and do it over again, I still would have done the course and the mentoring that I did. So.
Yeah, no. And I think that's kind of one of the big things for me. I think it's just like just having like the community that or like the people I'm networking with. Like I've been like talking to Drew a lot on Discord because I'm thinking about getting into shoes and like just sending him like some links or whatever. Just I don't know if I will get into shoes, but like just like, hey, like what do you think about this? Like would you buy this? Or instead of having to buy them, like there are a couple of things like, yeah, do not buy that brand. Like do not do this. Like no, like you're gonna get tons of return. So like that alone was saving me hundreds and thousands of dollars by someone be like, yeah, I already bought like 200 pairs of those and like half of them got returned or so it's just like, oh, okay, like that's good to know. I don't have to figure that out. And I think that's a lot of I did that when I first started. It was just like I did a consulting call with someone and literally just wrote down every question I had. And like within 2 hours, I had everything I needed to do. I had like the right mindset, the right attitude to go about it. And for me, that was worth it. I was not going to get that in watching 2 hours of YouTube videos. I tell you that much. When do you start sending inventory for Q4 of using a prep center? I feel like it just depends. Like obviously you can't send meltables right now if you're gonna do meltables because it's just not the season. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, a lot of people say what, like October-ish?
Yeah, I think I started sending at the end of October, and then I stopped the last week of November. But I wish I would have kept going to like the first week of December. But you live and you learn.
That was one. I think I made a YouTube video about it. If I could do it all over again, last year I'd spend maybe even throughout December and not spend anything in January and February. Because like January and February there were like Black Friday last year was like the entire month of November.
It was
like it was literally all of November. Like yeah, there was Black Friday week, but like Walmart and Target, like it was all over, and I was just like, oh yeah, like this is great, or oh, like I was like, oh, like I spent so much, like I gotta and then when February came along, January sales were really good, and then like February, I would say March, April, like there was hardly any action like on sales or anything like that. I'm like, damn, like I should have just crushed November and December spend wise, and then not spend anything in January and February.
I actually did better in January than I did in December, like percentage wise. I mean, I made more money in December, but percentage wise, my profit margin was better and actually in January. I actually almost made the exact amount that I did in December and January because I just carried over a bunch of stuff. Like I bought so much stuff that like I wasn't able to send in everything. So once Christmas was over and they started opening up the gates again, I crushed January as well. So it just doesn't end after Christmas. Like there's rollover as well. Like if you keep buying like heavily for Christmas and you don't sell through all of it, like I brought it back. I brought it into the next year and I still sold it and I made better margins actually.
Yeah, and I think too, like a lot of this too, I don't know. I feel like with inventory, it's almost, I don't know, when it's profitable, you should just like send it in and then like either do it yourself if it's like getting close. Like for me, I'm still debating how much prep I'm actually going to do in Q4 because I know if I do it myself, it's going to get into Amazon quicker. It's going to go to a better warehouse. But it's like, ooh, do I really want to prep all this stuff? I probably will, but it just really depends what you want to do. I do wholesale. I'm trying to get into OA. Any tips? I probably put in 60 hours ish. I just feel like I suck at it. LOL. Do wholesale. I don't know. I would ask why are you trying to get into OA? If you're doing well with wholesale. But if you were, it's just, this has been my answer to everyone. It's just volume. Like you just have to like, I was looking at SellerAmp the other day. Like we've looked over 130,000 products. Like I don't even know when I got SellerAmp, but that's just an insane amount of products to look at and look through. And like it just gets easier. You start to go however you're sourcing, once you see a brand and it either gives you IP alert or anything that like is a flag or you can't sell it, or a lot of the times you come across that brand that's not profitable, then you just skip that. So like you get much quicker and it becomes more fluent. Or you find like something profitable, like this water bottle is profitable. What other colors does it come in? What else does that brand sell? Like you start to go down these like little rabbit holes. Hey, are there other water bottles that are profitable? And it just gets much quicker. So I mean, everyone sucks at everything when they first start. I mean, or I do anyway. So I wouldn't really worry about it. I would just say, maybe set a certain amount of time you're going to source just OA and do that every day. And then eventually you'll start to find some stuff. What is up, Raken? How's your PL project going?
Which one? Don't you have a project going on too here soon?
Maybe. We're still working on it.
Did you tell people or did I just blow that?
We didn't, but it's all good.
He doesn't have a private label project. I'm just joking.
No. It's all good.
No, but my project that I may or may not have either. I'm just joking. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I went to go check and then I got distracted because they just sent my contract for my house. But I was checking to see if I finally sold out of everything. But like I said, I just got distracted, so I didn't even check. But it should be all the way sold out now because I only had like 10 units left last week.
So you're definitely not reordering then?
No. Got one in the background actually back here, but no. No, it was a good thought. It was a good try.
But I mean, I feel like the fact that you like sold all of it, like I've really taken like a different like view on
I'm trying to
I mean,
look at it.
obviously you always have to be positive, but like if you make a bad buy or anything like that, um it's just whatever. You just made a bad decision. It doesn't make you a bad buyer or a bad Amazon seller. Like it just didn't go your way that time. And like this is how it goes. It's like, and it's not like you got stuck with everything. Like even if you broke even or just lost like $100 or $1,000 or whatever, like you still sold, like you created something. Like there's something to be said for that. And then it's like, well, the next time, if you decide to do it again, like it'll be much easier and much quicker.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't turn out too bad. I did almost 30,000.
Damn.
They sold out on July 11th, so no longer have to worry about it anymore. It was a good experience. I was talking to my mom and I said, Mom, I honestly wish I'd have put that money into a house instead, because I could have literally put a down payment on a house with the amount that I spent on the mentoring, the product, all of that. But my mom's like, but you wouldn't have known if you would have liked it or not if you didn't do it. Like you learned from that whole ordeal.
That's a really good point.
I was like, yeah, you're right. She's like, just because it didn't go as planned doesn't mean that you can't find something else to do, like another product to launch. You know what I mean? Like, but she's right. You know, I would have sat there and wondered for months, for years, maybe if I could have launched a private label product and that could have done well, because I never
it could have went the other way too. It's like you like crushed it, and then that's all you do is private label. Like you don't even do real estate, or so it's like. I think that's a lot of just business in general, or like reselling. It's like you just got to taste the different stuff. Like I wish I kind of did OA a little earlier, or at least tried it. Like when I first started, it was like books, and everyone else was just like, yeah, you go RA, you just go to a store and like everything tanks because you buy the clearance. Like it was like that's what like booksellers were saying. It was always like that. It's like, but it's more expensive. So it's like you're buying more expensive stuff. And that was like kind of what was like going around. So I just never did it. But then I was like, like if I did try it, like I probably would have been like, yeah, I'm not getting a warehouse. I'm not going into bulk books. Like I'm just gonna do OA. But then it's like, well, I wouldn't have had a ton of money to sink into OA if it wasn't for books. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, you don't know if you're going to like something or you're going to be successful at it without trying. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you know what I mean? Start small. Don't put a whole bunch of money into it and see if you like it. And if it fails, then you know, okay, like that wasn't meant for me. Or maybe if you try again, maybe if you learn from your mistakes, like if I would launch a product again, I know what to do and what not to do now.
Yeah. I think it's like, important to look at that. It's like if you did your best, like truly did your best or whatever, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. And like that's fine. Like not everything is supposed to work out, because if everything worked out, and that would be amazing. But like I almost think that would lead to like a pretty boring life, actually.
Yeah.
If everything always worked out, it'd be like, like I don't know.
Yeah, true. Hangnail.
Makayla, did you get a mentor for real estate?
Nope, self-taught as well. I mean, like my business partner, I do credit him a lot for when I first met him, it was through, I've told the story before, but I'm going to go over it again. But we met each other through Instagram, and they did a consulting call with me. And he told me a little bit about his background and, his successes from a very early age, and some of it being real estate. And I've always wanted to do real estate, even before I started selling on Amazon. I remember watching Flipping Vegas, if anybody knows what that is. That was the greatest show. I love that show. I remember when I started watching that, I was like, man, I would love to do that. Like, so cool. And that's been like years now. And so the whole goal with me going to medical school was once I went through residency and I got a good paying job and I started paying down my loans, I was going to start buying real estate. I had no plan of like ever, retiring off of it or anything because I wanted to be a doctor. I was just doing it just because it was a passion of mine. Well, fast forward to me giving up my acceptance and then going into Amazon, I met my business partner, and he'd been doing real estate since he was like 18 or 19. So he'd been doing it for a while, and we talked about it. And one day we were on a Zoom call for like 2 hours, and like he walked me through some different options and like tried to like teach me a few things that I didn't know. And from there, I mean, I was just like, maybe I should actually give it a shot. At that point in time, I didn't know if it was just too soon because I just started my business. And like, if you do one wrong thing, it could like cripple your business. So I was like really hesitant about getting started because I was pulling money from my business to pay for this. And I decided to do it. And I spoke to my CPA at the time, and she was awful. But I told her, I said, hey, I'm thinking about getting involved in real estate. I said, can you explain to me kind of how the depreciation works and the tax benefits of doing so? Because I have a business partner who, well, at the time he wasn't my business partner, but I was like, I have a friend who does it. And he told me that it'd be good for me to get involved with because of my taxes for self-employment tax. And so she's like, no, I wouldn't even worry about that right now. She's like, you're getting too far ahead of yourself and all this stuff. And so I ended up getting rid of her. I was like, no, you know what? If you can't ride the train with me, then we're not even going to do it. You can't, because once I succeed, then you want to try to hop back on. No. So like she wasn't on it. So I was full send it. And so I got a different one. And then obviously my business partner was like, dude, she has no idea what she's talking about. She sounds like she's jealous and like she's trapped in her little 9-to-5 job. So yeah, I never had like an official mentor, but Ricky pretty much showed me kind of the ropes. Him and I have different strategies of doing real estate. So there's like obviously different ways of going about it. There's like creative financing. There's like, obviously using her money and everything, and then traditional loans. And then there's, private investors. And then there's different things such as like flips and then buy and holds. And then there's some people who just like buy turnkey rentals. So that's what he does. He does turnkey. And that's just not something that I really liked. I rather, buy these houses that nobody wants and then, fix them up and then have them appraised for much higher and then pull that money out and then only have a little bit of my money left into the deal or none at all. And then keep doing that. So that way I can keep stacking. So if I only have, say 20,000 to start with, if I can keep pulling out most of it or even making money on these deals, then I can just keep that 20,000. I don't have to put any more in the business. You know what I mean? All you need is a small amount first, and then it keeps growing. So that's like my goal is to just put in X amount, which my last deal, I actually made $1,500. So like right now, like there's nothing into that deal. So I just took all of that money again that I started with, and then I'm going to put it into other houses. And then, but yeah, I like talking about real estate, but people be commenting on Twitter these days, talking about how gurus are pivoting to other avenues and talking like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I feel like too, it's like everyone should just do what's best for them.
I know.
Like, who cares? Like, why are you so concerned what everyone's doing or what's in their bio or this or that? It's just like
I saw that and I was just like, why does anybody care? I enjoy talking about real estate. I love doing real estate. I love selling on Amazon too, but I love real estate more than I do. I love Amazon, and that's just facts. And I don't know. I want people to see that there's other sides to business. Like you can start with Amazon and you can build so much from it. Like, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's not that I don't want to post about Amazon. It's just the fact that like everybody posts about Amazon, but not everybody posts about everything other than Amazon. Like you can start with an Amazon store and fund other businesses with your Amazon store. Like it's just one small thing. Like you can grow it into something much larger. And so that's why I like talking about real estate and stuff, because there are people who reach out to me and are like, oh my God, like I've been so interested in doing real estate forever. And like, I would love to start an Amazon store and you do what you did, fund your business, your real estate business with that money that you made from your store. Like that's just stuff like you just see people buying Lamborghinis, going on nice trips, all these things that you don't necessarily need in life. You know what I mean? But like it's for views, it's for clout and all of that. but that's okay to post. But like, if you want to talk about being financially smart, like, it's like, oh, the gurus are pivoting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I get it. And it's just like, yeah, that's fine. It's just like, who cares? Like, I get, but like that stuff, like, I think that's like how you have to look at it too. Like, that stuff is just for engagement because they know people are going to argue about that stuff. They're going to like it. Or like, that's just kind of like how that goes. Just interesting.
I just like talking about something other than Amazon.
Yeah, I agree. What is the longest you guys hold inventory for if the price tanks? It really depends on kind of what happened to the listing, how many people got on, how familiar I am with the listing. Like if I've been on a listing for like 6 to 8 months, I obviously know there's like some patterns to that and like whether or not it's time to wait it out or not. I don't know. It depends on your financial situation. For me, I like to check-in times have been terrible. But I mean, kind of within 60 days, I kind of want to have everything sold. It used to be 30, but that's just like not realistic at all. Just based on kind of how check-in times have been. I feel like it's not even prime eligible for like 20, 30 days. So it's very hard. I mean, some stuff obviously goes right away, but a majority of the stuff goes into FC transfer and geez, who knows where that stuff could be at any given time. But I mean, you want to, I mean, of course, like it sounds obvious, but you want to move the money through as quick as possible. Seems most listings recover in 3 months. Yeah, it really just depends on the listing too. I mean, I would say I would want to jump off if you keep seeing the seller count go up despite the price going down, which I never understood. I think it's just people late to the game or they just didn't prep it in time or their prep center was slow. So yeah, if you know the number of people on the listing like tripled or something, yeah, I probably want to try to get out as soon as possible and get whatever I can get back. I'm really not a fan of waiting it out because you just don't know what's going to happen. I've been on some listings where I'm like, oh, it's going to come back around. It's going to come back around. And like 4 months later, it's like an even worse situation. Like I could have just like cut my losses and kind of just moved on and, you know, put that into something else.
I don't know. I just tend to be very impatient about everything. So if it's not like immediate results for me, I'm horrible at that now. So like if I see something tanking, I'll just jump off. I'm just like, nope, I'll done. That's not the best advice in the world, but that's just what
I've definitely done that too.
I don't know, like I do know that with time, most of these listings will recover. But the way that I run my business is I would rather, cut the loss or just make, 10% or whatever ROI than to go in the hole, say 15%, negative 15%, and then wait another 3 months for it to come back up 10% again or whatever, 30%. I'd rather just kind of I don't know.
I forget what the term is, but Chris Potter talks about it. Like there's a cost to not getting your money out because of what you could have done with that money. I forgot what it's called.
Opportunity cost. Is it opportunity?
Yeah. So I feel like there's definitely
opportunity cost. And that's why
I would rather just get off because usually too, if more people jump on, then the buy box rotation kind of like cripples and it's even harder to get off. What are your thoughts in buying when inventory is not profitable? I don't know. It's another bad answer, but it just really depends on what it is. There's definitely some listings that have tanked or kind of done bad. And when I come back to them, just looking at the pattern, it might not be profitable now, but I'm like, you know what? When this seller count like gets cut in half again, it will be profitable. I try to really buy when it's profitable or at least I don't know, break even. I don't know. For me, I'm really trying on a lot of products now to buy ones where the price historically hasn't even been at the break even. They're hard to find, but you can definitely find them. So I mean, you want to look at some for opportunities like that, or I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity out there, and you just kind of have to make the most of it with your money. And I don't know. I feel like it's kind of you got to speculate on some stuff, but you don't want to be your majority of your store to be like speculative. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just that's an individualized.
Yeah.
That's the quote of the day. It's just individualized.
Yeah, individualized.
Just kind of depends on how you run your business. If you're more of like a what is it? A fast nickel over a slow dime.
Yeah.
The phrase. So if you run your business like that, then you kind of want to jump out probably faster than what somebody else. If somebody would rather sit there and, you know, harvest that extra 10 cents a unit, then, you know, that's on them. I don't know. I guess I just see things differently. I feel like, okay, if I cut my loss here or, you know, take a little bit less than what I really wanted, then I can put this into another product or products and make back that and probably more if it goes well. That's the key.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that. Yeah, it could just be like, it's definitely overwhelming, like what to do, what not to do, and all this kind of stuff. But I feel like obviously the best thing to do is just kind of like experiment, kind of do like, I feel like too, like you don't want to not necessarily like model, but like you don't want to do exactly what someone else is doing, because you want to develop like your own kind of edge and figure out kind of what works best for you, your business, and all that other kind of stuff. This way you'll have a unique advantage that someone else doesn't have. That's kind of how I'm trying to do it anyway. It looks like that is all the questions, so we will call it here. Thank you so much for being here. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends, all that kind of stuff. And we will see you next week. Peace.